Hello, Crash here! Yesterday I got to try out VR for the first time using both a high-end and a middle-of-the-road setup. The high-end was SteamVR on an HTC Vive using a high-end Alienware gaming rig, and the middle-of-the-road one was PlayStation VR. Now, I'm not going to get into VR in general, I'm just going to talk about the similarities and differences between the two setups I tried. Why? Because VR isn't something that can be explained. I know, you've heard this a million times before, just like I have, but it took me trying it to really understand what others were talking about. So if you get a chance, go to a large mall and stop in at a Microsoft or Sony store and try VR. You really have to experience it firsthand to realize how amazing it can be. Also, don't take Samsung VR as any kind of benchmark. Samsung VR is not even in the same league as the systems I'm going to cover. Is VR for everyone? No, of course not. But I urge everyone to at least try it. It's free at many larger malls, and I was able to try it multiple times at the same booth a couple times because there wasn't a line. So in this video, the main focus is going to be the headset, the controls, overall visual quality, immersion, and which one I will buy. A couple things to consider about my review. I don't have any corrective lenses and I have 20/20 vision. I'm a large guy, so the weight of the headset didn't mean much to me and everything fit me really well. I started with the Vive as my first VR experience, went to PSVR, and then back to the Vive just to make sure I wasn't putting the Vive on a pedestal. And these were tested in well-lit parts of the mall. And since these are optical systems, these may not have been the best environments. So onto the headset. Both headsets were very comfortable for the 15-minute runs that I used them for. The upside to the Vive is that the image came into focus much easier and quicker, usually not requiring any adjustment on the headset itself, but the headset was cumbersome to put on. You had to undo two Velcro straps, pull the fabric headset over your head, then tighten the straps while holding the headset in place. I would compare it to adjusting the strap on a baseball cap with the smartphone hanging from the brim. The PSVR, on the other hand, while the head strap was amazingly easy to use, just pulled on the spring-loaded back part, set it on your head, let it go, and it just snapped into place. It took a little bit of sliding the headset up and down to get the focus just right. On paper, the PSVR is slightly heavier, but I honestly didn't notice a weight difference. The reason being was that both of these headsets have one major drawback: the anchor cables that you can't see when using the headset. I found myself mentally getting out of the game because I felt the cable wrap around my foot. The cables tugging on the headset as I turned around made it hard to notice a weight difference, even though I tried. Neither had a noticeable amount of difference regarding input lag, although there was stuttering on both occasionally, but we'll get into that more in the overall visual quality section. Regarding controls, this is where we start to see a noticeable difference. I tried the Vive first, and it was my first experience with VR. I was expecting the controls to be something like Microsoft's first attempt at the Kinect, kind of jerky and unreliable. But I was pleasantly surprised when I first put the headset on and saw the controllers just sitting there in midair. I reached out and was able to pick them up without fumbling. It had their location perfect relative to my view. The Vive controls felt very comfortable, and I could look down and see the virtual controllers through the headset. It was amazing, to say the least. There was no apparent lag. I even tried to make the system lag, but the controllers were right there, right where I felt my hands were. There would be a little hiccup now and then, but it wouldn't really take away from the experience. PlayStation VR, on the other hand, was a bit jerkier. The PS Move controllers were comfortable, and the response time was as good as the Vive, but there seemed to be a bit of an issue regarding precise location of the controller. With the Vive, I could hold my hand still, and the controller would appear still on the headset. With the PSVR, they would quiver a bit, taking away from the experience. Now, with overall visual quality, this is where I'm going to have people shouting. This is very subjective and is based solely on my back-to-back experiences of the two units in store. I'll only be talking about the negatives and what takes away from what I would call perfect immersion. The Vive, while the clearer of the two, because of its 1080p screen per eye, did have one noticeable downfall. I could see individual pixels, or to be more precise, the grid of gaps between the pixels. That being said, my brain is really good at tricking me, and after about a minute, I couldn't even see the grid anymore without really trying to. The PlayStation VR, with its 1080p screen for both eyes, so that's divided by 2, that's 960 by 1080 per eye instead of 1920 by 1080 per eye, seemed to have a bit of a softer image, but it was still gorgeous. Sony really has a top-notch screen in this unit, enough so that it can still hold its own against the Vive, in my opinion. Both headsets had occasional stuttering, but I believe that was due to the systems that were running them, not the headsets themselves. With immersion, seriously, unless you try one of these headsets firsthand, you will not fully appreciate how immersive both systems are. This part is kind of hard to judge as I couldn't run the exact same demos on both systems. Part of the immersion was due to the audio headsets that were used. Both were virtual surround sound headsets, and those made just as much difference regarding immersion as the VR headsets themselves. Straight up, it's a draw. Both headsets worked amazingly. If it wasn't for the occasional child crying or a couple arguing near me in the mall while I was using these units, I could have completely forgotten I was there. So, which one will I buy? I say will because I have no doubt that I will eventually get a VR headset. It won't be right away, they still need a bit more polish, but I feel it won't be in the too far distant future. The ability to completely feel like you're in the game adds a whole new dimension that nothing has been able to match to date. So, out of the two, which will I buy? Drumroll? It's the PlayStation VR for me. The main reason is I already have a PS4. For $700 I can get everything I need, just plug it in and go. But even if I had to start fresh, I would probably still go with the PlayStation VR just due to the fact that I don't have a ton of disposable income and the price point is manageable. At the time of publishing this, I can get a PS4 Pro for about $500 Canadian and the PlayStation VR bundle, so that's the headset, camera, controllers, everything you need, for about $700 for a grand total of about $1,200 before taxes, giving me a complete system that's ready to go. With the HTC Vive, I get the complete bundle, the headset, the receivers, the controllers, for roughly $1,200–1,300 Canadian. But I also need to get a high-end computer to run it. The one that was used to achieve what I experienced was the Alienware Area 51, which starts at about $2,500 Canadian. But talking to the reps in the store, should be able to get a competent VR-ready system down around $1,300 Canadian. So as tested, the system was at $3,700, over 3 times the cost of a PlayStation VR setup. There is still the possibility of getting it down to about $2,500 Canadian, but that's still over double the price. I don't feel that the Vive was triple or even double the product or experience that the PlayStation VR was. Both products are absolutely amazing, and if I had the money, I would definitely get both. But since I can only get one, it'll be the PlayStation VR for me. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you disliked it, hit that dislike button. Be sure to subscribe and check back for more videos. Cheers, and happy hunting.